Boom. Welcome to the Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, we are here to mastermind around being more productive. When Todd and I first founded this, it was an add-on to Darren Hardy's Insane Productivity. And Todd, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about right now in the mortgage industry is that loan officers need to be more productive. And with all of the pain and all of the problems, they need to be more efficient. You know, I have been doing a lot of analytics and have a lot of data. And one of the things I've uncovered is that just about every loan officer in America, by the way, who's not a data-driven mortgage advisor using MortgageCoach, could be like 10 to 20 basis points more profitable right now. So productivity has never been more important. We got an awesome guest before we bring on Mr. Bill Hart. But Mr. Booksman, welcome back from your, traveling the world.
It is great to be back. It was certainly great to be totally unplugged for 2 weeks. And, it's funny that you're talking about productivity because my deep dive, when I was doing my on time, or if I was walking to, the grocery store for my family or whatever I was doing, any time that I had to think, I was actually listening to podcasts or re-listening to books around productivity, and spent a lot of time thinking about that myself. And so it just tells me we're going to have some more conversations about that going forward. And it's funny, HOA.com is having a board meeting over here in my conference room, and I was invited and coming to that. And when I saw that Bill Hart was the guest, I was like, you know what, I'm absolutely going to be here, and showed up wearing red along with our good friend Deborah Bird from Plug and Play SM. Welcome, Deborah.
Welcome. I think we all got the memo except for Dave in our red shirt Friday. But
he's still got stuff in boxes. He's unpacking the office.
Dave doesn't own red. I think Dave only owns black. Actually, I've seen him in a couple non-black shirts, but mostly Dave owns black shirts.
The Steve Jobs collection. Yeah.
Yes. But Todd, you were talking about traveling and kind of being able to focus and listening to your podcast, and it kind of goes in line with the title of Reboot, that sometimes you do need to shut down, reboot, detox, so that you can then come back and be rejuvenated a bit. So I'm excited to dive into this topic with you, Bill. As always, it's so good to see you, and welcome to have you back.
Likewise, my friend. Yeah.
Mr. Bill Hart, what's up, my brother?
Just hanging out. My friends.
Right. Yeah, just
getting ready to speak truth and make some people uncomfortable.
So for any new loan officers, Bill Hart is a prolific coach, over 10,000 hours in the
20,000. Sorry, but
well, time out.
20.
I was going to ask you. I know it's a lot more than that. So did you hear that?
Yeah.
20,000 hours coaching. How long have you been the leadership coach movement? Is it
20 years? 20 years.
No,
yeah, 20 years in
2 years.
Yeah, it's been 2 years inside the movement ecosystem, but essentially I do the same thing that I did when I was Switzerland. Now I'm just inside one organization, but yeah, dude, 20,000 hours in the coach's chair in one industry with only loan officers, sales leaders, and operations leaders. And I'm not saying that's smart. It's just my niche. I just went really deep in one niche. I had a lot of other coaches at Building Champions. Todd, you would know this, that were coaching Chick-fil-A people and Bristol Myers Squibb and John Deere and Ritz-Carlton, everything in between. But I was just the mortgage guy. So I think I'm the longest guy standing at this point, Dave. Pretty sure.
Yeah, no, you're definitely.
And we should add in there too. I mean, when I met Bill 20 years ago and was fortunate enough to hire him as my coach, he actually didn't have gray hair. I was his client that gave him gray hair. And 4 years with Bill as my one-on-one coach, and then we spent time later in Masters Coach together as him as a leader, and then me as a coach alongside of him. And I would be remiss if I didn't always say publicly, thank you, Bill, for really helping not just become a great loan officer. Really, Bill helped me lay the foundation, but I always say for helping me make the great human that I became. So on behalf of my family and all my friends, and of course me, love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Bill has old man swag.
You do. You got that swag.
Well,
we see those photos with your planes on social. You got the swag.
You do what you do. But Todd, thank you. Thank you for the kind comments. It was always a pleasure to hang out with you. And now we just found a new way to do it, which is essentially us rebooting our relationship. Oh, king of the segues, bringing it in. Come on, Dave.
All right. So let me frame this call the way when I saw your headline, the way I like to frame it. I want to remind folks, use that little reaction button. I saw someone give a heart, use those little reactions, ask questions in comments. And, Bill, let me share my frame around this call.
You bet.
And then I would love your reactions to what I'm going to share.
Please.
I did a webinar this week, just a couple days ago, and this is who I had on. I had the chief economist from the MBA. I had the chief economist from CoreLogic. I had Mr. Rob Chrisman, and everybody had these prepared thoughts. And by the way, it's on our YouTube channel. We'll put a link down below. I'm really proud of the content. I was really proud of it because it was a great webinar, and we had housing. It wasn't just mortgage. We had data on housing. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. But Bill, I think this does a really nice job of telling the story of the headline that you came up with. This little box is my first 5 years in the mortgage business. And you'll notice I got in, rates had just come down. Everybody that was a loan officer before me, they all bought houses, they all had Mercedes-Benz, and I'm like, I missed it. For 5 years, rates were above 10%. And then my entire career, and by the way, everyone on this call, I don't care whether you got in the business 5 years ago, if you got in the business, before 2020, rates have come down your whole career and they hit the bottom, and so what does that mean? First of all, 20 or 42% of Americans own their homes free and clear. So they don't have mortgages. Many of them don't need mortgages. The number of people in America that rate starts with 2% right here, 3%, 4%, and rates are 7%. So it is a new world in the mortgage business. Every loan officer needs to become a Jedi master at helping household hostages that want to move up. You're not going to do it by selling rates and fees. You're going to do it by bringing advice and clarity. Accidental landlords, and Bill, I don't know if you've seen this chart, but this shows, the 40-year average. I pulled this chart up just because of your headline, is 7%. Yeah. So in case you were wondering, and look at this. So anyone who's been in the business, since 2003, your rates have been below the 40-year average. And I think the industry needs to, this is the baseline between rates. Hopefully they go into the fours. I think they probably will. But I interviewed Brian Hale a couple of days ago and Bill Dallas a couple of days ago. And we think that as executives, you need to plan that rates are going to be between the fours and the sixes. That would be positive. And on the most pessimistic side, that rates are going to trend between 5 and 7. But I'm always going to pick, kind of worst case. And here's the other thing, guys. As we, and I'm going to hand it over to you in a minute, Bill. But
no worries, bud.
New construction is double the average it ever is. 28% of homes that are selling are new construction. So do you have real builder relationships? And baby boomers are not baby boomers. Millennials are here. This is a little wave this year. I got this for Brian Hale also. Thank you, Brian. This shows all the baby boomers, or excuse me, millennials at target purchase price. So Bill, you came up with the headline. That was my prep for kind of opening this.
Love it.
How did you come up with that headline? What was your thesis on it?
So pro tip to everybody on the call, when you get a link like that, go ahead and open it up in a browser window so that you've got it when the call ends. I just did that. And so I don't know if you could hear the music. I hope you can't, but I've got that video poised to watch later. So thank you, Dave, for sharing that. And thank you, Paul, for putting it in the chat. you guys know me, and I think you know that, you know, if I was going to distill sort of the essence of my focus down to anything, it's mindset. It's mindset. And Deborah, this is so going to resonate with you, because I think there's a lot of tacticians right now, and Dave, you do an amazing job of showcasing tacticians and people that are doing things in the field now that you all can go, and they're all archived. They're available to you on the YouTube channel. You can find them here on Facebook. It's incredible to me. This stuff didn't exist 10 years ago. So to have this is quite remarkable. That's not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about is what I run into with the people that I'm currently coaching, the number of old friends that reach out to me regularly. It's such a blessing. I get Calendly links show up, or Calendly schedules show up all the time. Like, oh, cool. Look who wants to talk. And that's sort of where it comes from for me. So can I share my screen? Because I want to just show you a couple of things that'll help to explain it. I've got it. We're good to go here. So what I need to do is go here. So the reboot to me just came from, you know, the number of times that I have a conversation with my wife when she leans over and says, hey, my iPad is doing this thing. I've got, what's happening here? And invariably it's like, yeah, we got to reboot. If I can't just fix it intuitively, we got to reboot. And it just feels to me like that's exactly where we are right now. And so I think the easiest way to show you what I see in my head is, Todd, this is one of your favorites. Like, you remember this?
Oh yeah.
This is what Dave just showed us, you guys. I'm not saying the business was easy, but like, this is what it was. It's what it was. It was, you guys had to work hard. I don't mean to diminish that, but as far as lead gen, if you look at that chart again, it's like every couple of months it was, oh, I can send out a mailer. Oh, I can send out an email letting everybody know the rates just dropped, and Nathan, I can save you $300 a month. Come on, guys. You know what I'm talking about. That's what it was. I believe Ryan Hills nailed it with these numbers he just shared the other day. And if you're not watching the RE Source, man, check him out. He said the loan officer math is there's 100,000 loan officers chasing 1.6 million realtors who are chasing 3.5 million financed transactions. Financed meaning a third of those are cash, as you guys all know, right? So the math is just not what it was. Now, Steve Harney tells us there's still 14,780 homes that sell every day. And I think we have to be reminded of that. We need to constantly remind ourselves in all this scarcity that, yeah, but people are still like having babies, and people move into retirement homes and they get transferred in and they get divorced and they get married, and come on, you guys. And then through your wise counsel, they now see, oh, there's debt consolidation options. There's some things that I should be doing. Maybe I should be buying a rental. They're just new conversations. So the way I see it is like this. Deborah, see if this looks familiar. If you take a little 2 or 3 year old and you throw them in the pool and you have a camera underwater, this is what they look like, right? They take a little tiny shallow breath and they come up very quickly, and their nose is up above the water. And I feel like, if I'm totally honest with you guys, this is most loan officers right now. It's like, I need to, Barry said, May 10th, I'm waiting for rates to drop. I'm waiting for more inventory. And I think we need to instead be focused like a free diver. Free diving is the most bizarre sport to me in the world. And these people can stay underwater for 10 minutes. The average person can hold their breath for 30 seconds. 10 minutes. How do they do that? They change the capacity of their lungs through training. They take enormous breaths. They exert minimal energy. And that's why they've got that big old single fin on their feet. You could just this photograph just says it. Compared to that, chaos, right? And that's what's happening right now. And this is what I see, Deb, with your sister. This is what I see with Josh Metal. This is what I see with Dan Keller. This is what I see with Jeremy Forcier. This is what the people, the Wallies of the world, who are focused on the bigger picture. And the bigger picture comes down, in my mind, to how are you showing up that's different than the way it used to be? You know, I'm sure many of you have read the book 10X is easier than 2X. And to me, it's just such an amazing book for us right now. Dan Sullivan with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's such a fantastic read. And Dave, you and I may have even talked about this. Usually you're the one that always tells me about something great. So it probably came from you originally. Really and truly, like, props to Dave. Every good thing in my life in terms of technology or any kind of like thought leadership, it comes from Dave. So why you wouldn't hang out with Dave, I can't imagine. But you know, that 10X is easier than 2X is really interesting thinking, because basically what he's saying is, if all I do is just do more of what I was doing, at the very most, I'm going to maybe double my results, probably not. But if I look at where am I spending 80% of my time that's not producing any results? It's exactly what you were saying, Todd, at the top of the call. Now I need to get rid of that and focus on the 20% that now needs to be amplified. And that's where I'm at right now, you guys. That's just the way I see it. Another way to describe it is, so I was born in 1955, the year that Disneyland opened. The year that Disneyland opened, they had this shooting gallery with actual BB guns with scopes. Like, do you think that would be okay in California today? I'm thinking no. So but there were targets there, right? And you're plinking at these targets. And I feel like that's kind of been the mortgage industry for the last, I don't know, let's say since 08 for sure. Rates have been dropping. That's the dirty little secret, is rates have been dropping, right? And I think instead, here's how we need to show up, you guys. We need to say, I am now a tactical hunter. I am no longer plinking with BBs at targets that are super easy. I need to become a tactical hunter. And this guy is jacked, and he's got a rifle there of some sort. He's got an amazingly large handgun. That's got to be a 357 Magnum. He's got a hunting knife. He's clearly got clips and magazines there in that pouch on his chest pack. And, you know, we need to be figuring out, how do we head out onto a hunting mission? And that's the way that I view it. And I'm just going to share one more thing, and then I just want to talk about this. I think what we need to do right now is get really clear about the way that we show up conversationally every single day. If you asked me, of all those top producers that I just mentioned, Dave, every one of them you've showcased and done a beautiful job with, every single one of them has different conversations than an average loan officer does right now. Average loan officers, all they knew was how to discuss rate. Right? I mean, for goodness sakes, we have a large, great company. That's their name. Like, it's what the industry has been focused on. It's all been focused on rate. And all of those other people that I just talked about have different conversations. And I believe that Denise has done this probably the best. And I'm just going to read this. I want you guys to hear it from a different set of vocal cords. Imagine that you're competing with Denise. Some of you are. She says, my passion is helping people think strategically about finance. During a mortgage, we review things like credit, assets, taxes, disposable income, and yes, we help you to get pre-qualified and buy a home. But what we do during this process is what makes us different. We look for ways to help you build wealth. Every month after you close on your home, we provide financial information to help you be strategic with money, to learn and to grow. You see, my dad didn't have people, professionals in his life to help, and we lost our house at an early age. More than the house, my dad lost his confidence and self-worth. The amount of fear and anxiety that created for our family was painful. And it is that feeling that is the driving force behind why I do what I do. My mission is to provide a mortgage experience that is not only top-notch, but most importantly, to provide financial strategies to help you and your family to live your best life. So I just want to stop sharing right now. I'd love to see you guys throw into the chat, like, how does that wash over you as you hear the way that Denise shows up and the types of conversations that she engages? Do you think she loses much to price? I don't think so. I don't think so. We're doing a bathroom remodel right now, guys. First remodel we've ever done in 33 years of marriage. So wish us luck. So far, so good. The good news is they're on track and on budget. So imagine that. But the reason that we chose them is not that because they were the least expensive. It was because they heard us. It's a husband and wife team. they demonstrated to us that they knew what we wanted to accomplish, and we were willing to step into that relationship, and price was no longer a factor. They opened questions in our mind that we didn't think to ask. They gave us things to consider that we wouldn't have thought of. We were like the rate shoppers of the world, and that's kind of my point. So,
wow, that was such an awesome kind of opening and set the table. You were clearly prepared for my question. By the way, Bill, you're gonna love this, but you know, I'm doing this Mortgage Coach 10X challenge right now.
saw that, dude.
And well, do you know what the inspiration was for that?
I do, and I just bought this for $3. This is that you bought the same thing I did for the same source. It's genius.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I texted it because I didn't know if you had it. So.
No, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Yeah,
and I actually found the book because I read The Gap in the Game. You know, I was
yes.
and I
that was book 2 in a 3-book series.
yeah, I feel like that was the book of the year for me. You know, and I was referred to that book by Shop Benosian. But dude, what
Nice.
what a great opening. So Deborah Bird, because your sister was getting talked about there at the end. Why don't you just a little bit? Why don't you kind of speak to this, and then Todd, you go, and then I got some things to share.
Well, what's interesting, and I feel like I always have to correct people because I was guilty of this too, but make sure you're not comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20, because when Denise first got into the purchase business, she wasn't as clear of her mission and value. It took hiring a coach. It took doing the work. And I mean like inner work for her to then self-discover and it be brought to her awareness of what's really driving her purpose and her passion to do what she does. So I think she always knew, because we were, you know, we did overcome a very tough childhood, but it wasn't brought to her awareness. So I love that you, Bill, were talking about, you know, your focus and your mindset, because it's also self-discovery and wakening up maybe some of these things so that you can be clear. So then when you align that purpose to your daily activities, it doesn't feel like a chore. I mean, of course it's work, but you got to do the work. And when it's aligned, it doesn't feel meaningless. So if you don't have accountability or you don't have a coach, I'm sure you can book a call with Bill. Possibly, I'm just going to throw that out there because I know you helped coach my sister. And I just want to say thank you as well, because when you read that out loud, it was really hard for her to ever allow the personal side show up in her social media, show up in her work. She always thought those two should be separate. Business is business, personal is personal, to the point where I would have people asking me, is your sister married? Is she, you know?
Right.
And so I'm also very proud
I bet you got that question a lot, actually.
Yes, all the time.
Hey, is your sister
So
married?
just
Are you married?
to see her growth, I want everyone to know, no matter where you are in your own growth journey, keep working at it and keep pushing and keep progressing every day, because this didn't happen overnight for her either.
So good. So let me just speak to that, if I may, for a quick second. And then Todd, I want to tie you into it. That's a great example. I share that like I would share Tiger Woods' golf swing, right? Like this is the pinnacle of what I'm talking about. Todd has something available through Win by Noon that will help you to develop your own unique value proposition. Todd, I don't know how easy it is to direct people to that, but it's just a process. And one of the great places to begin is another strategic coach, another Dan Sullivan reference. Start by asking people what they see in you. What do they see that is your unique ability, is the way that Dan Sullivan refers to it. That's a great place to begin, because a lot of times we think, well, they're going to tell me that I do what I say I'm going to do, and I show up. But what you might hear is, he really listens to me. I'll give you an example of this. I did this as a coach, Dave, years ago. And because I was telling other people to do it, I thought, well, I should probably do this too. So all you do is you send a text or an email out to 12 to 15 people whose opinions you respect. And what I heard back was, Coach, when I get off the phone with you, I feel better as a result of our time together. I never thought about that. But that's now a part of my unique value proposition, because you can't argue with the evidence from multiple people. So So Deb, thanks for calling that out, because that could be really difficult for people. I'm going to show one quick example here, Dave, just to kind of get back on that track so we leave them with some hope. So again, that's Denise's, and it even looks pretty, and you may have formatted that, Dave. I don't know. I got it off your Facebook page. But what if this was all we did? And Dave, you'll have an even better one, I know, but I'm just going to challenge people to say, well, what if you just start here? What if you just say, I help families build wealth with real estate faster by helping them make smarter mortgage decisions? Like, if you don't really have an articulated, unique value proposition right now, like, just take a picture of that, take a screenshot and start there. I'm not saying it even has to be word for word.
Pull that back up. And
Yep.
some people have asked for your slides. Are those things you're going to be willing to
For
share?
sure. Of course. Yeah. Everybody have my Venmo?
Yeah, right.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, I bet you, Deborah Bird and Plug and Play SM, have a lot of social media content that
I'm thinking.
says this in a lot of different ways. So make sure you check that out. And Deborah, maybe you even create a plug and play version of this, and let's put it in the group. But guys, this is the next decade of mortgage. Like this needs to be your value prop. And you need to be able to have this conversation with every single borrower at a level of excellence, whether it's a first-time home buyer that, should I buy now? Should I wait? Rates used to be this. Remember, people will always be able to say rates used to be 2%. They used to be 3%. Like, that's not going to go away. And you need to let them know that, yeah, but it's about the long term. It's about building wealth with real estate long term. And you're going to have to be able to vision cast what that looks like. And here's the deal. The mortgage advisors that can do that are going to gain market share. While we're talking, I'm going to put it on my IG, but Keith Collins, just shared how he's using, let's just say a nuanced script from that. And he taught a loan officer, and that loan officer just got 5 meetings with realtors. It'll be on my story in a few minutes. So that was huge, Bill. Todd, welcome back. And now you just get to sit on the bench the whole time while Deborah and I rock it out. But why don't you jump in and ask questions and add your color here, bro?
Well, I just threw in the chat, but for those of you who are listening to this while driving or something, if you just email me, todd@winbynoon.com, I'm happy to send you the unique value proposition tool that I created. It's a modified version of actually what Dave and I created and stuff that I did with Building Champions back in the day when Bill and I worked together there. And I always think it's so important. I'm glad that you brought that up. I know this whole idea of reboot, Bill, I love that, because I feel like sometimes people just have to be able to, what do you call it in golf? Like, is it a bogey? Like when you hit it off in the grass and you got to pick it up and drop a new ball on the green, you can tell
well, that'd be a penalty, but you're probably talking about a mulligan.
A mulligan, that's it. A mulligan. I feel like a lot of people need to forgive themselves. You started off and you said, I'm going to speak truth and make some people uncomfortable. And I think as a coach, right, that was actually the hardest part for me as I became a coach, as someone who's a high I and wants everyone to like me. Sometimes you actually have to tell people how it is. I always kind of feel like it's the, rub a little bit of salt in the wound. And so I think that some people should forgive themselves and take a mulligan. So how would you talk to the person who just feels like they've been dragging all year and they like this idea of a reboot? Like, how would you coach them from a mindset perspective? And then what would you tell them the first couple of steps to do are?
Yeah, man. That's a great point. I feel like it's such a California thing to say, to like forgive yourself. And instead I want to sound more like a Marine drill instructor. I hear that. I know it's true. I acknowledge that. I see you. Right. But what I'm saying is, like, get over yourself. Like get over yourself. You're either going to figure this out and do the work, or you're going to experience the pain. You know this. I had you memorize it years ago, but Jim Rohn's favorite quote, my favorite quote of Jim's on this is, we must all suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. You're going to hurt either way. Choose your hard. And I believe that the correct hard right now is to say, Dave, I don't know how many more people are going to leave the industry. What are the latest numbers you've heard? And is 100,000 an accurate number now?
Yeah. So you're saying we're at 100,000
Yeah.
right now?
Mm-hmm.
I think worst case is 30%. You know,
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
1,000 loan officers.
That's what I've been hearing. So you guys be encouraged by that. I mean, Todd, to answer your question directly, you guys might have seen a video I redid called Forks and Spatulas. And the idea was that the market used to be the size of a hula hoop, and there was all these people with a fork in it. And there was a lot of good people. I'm not saying they were evil and nefarious, but they were opportunistic. This is a business where I can make a lot of money, but I don't have to go very deep. I just answer the phone. I figure out how to fill out applications. This is easy money. They're not here anymore. They're driving Ubers. They're selling shoes at Nordstrom. They're doing something else. God love them. May they be a borrower for you at some point, but they're not in the industry right now. The people that are in the industry, Todd, to your question specifically, I believe are recognizing that they need to do one thing. And I'm going to try and bring the slide up to make this in the time that I want it to hit. It's going to show up and show all the slides at first, but you'll understand this immediately. Here's my message. My message is this one, very simple, like decide. Why didn't that happen? That's odd. Stand by. That's the one I want them to see. Boom. Decide. Decide. These are the conversations I'm having with coaching clients every day. Just decide. Get out of your way. If you ask me, and Todd, you know this because you've been a coach, and Deborah, I think you experienced this, and Dave, you've been in enough people's lives to know. People make excuses in their mind, and they're hanging out waiting for rates to lower because, man, it'll all be good again. And they're waiting for more inventory. And I'm telling you, you cannot plan on that. You cannot plan on that. I understand rates are going to drop at some point. That's what everybody says. But so far, I don't know about you guys, the ride has not been predictable. So if that's true, then I just have to make a decision about how I'm going to show up today and do things differently. And one of my favorite quotes on this is actually this by Mel Robbins. If you're not following Mel Robbins, you guys follow her. This is a woman who is a truth speaker. She says, you need to hear this loud and clear. No one is coming. It's up to you. No one is coming. It's up to you. And I'm telling you, it's going to hurt you guys. If you don't figure this out now and figure out through Dave and everything that's being done through Trust Engine and MortgageCoach, how to start having meaningful conversations with people every single day that has nothing to do with rate, you've got to be able to get them off that conversation and have the broader dialogue. One of the things we are most focused on right now at Movement with Harlan Acola, who you would know, Todd, from the old days, is heck 'em for purchase. Like, this is a thing. This is going to be a huge thing in the industry right now. We've got, is it $1 trillion of equity that people 62 and over are sitting on?
Well, we just hit $1 trillion of consumer debt.
Yeah,
but the amount of equity is it's insane. It's
mind blowing. And so what we know is that I am this. We're sitting here with a 2 7/8 mortgage. You guys probably are too. And I feel like it's this warm little blanket I pull up under my neck, and it's all cozy, and I don't really need to think about anything else. But it's such a limiting view that our responsibility, if we have a responsibility right now, it's to educate people as to their options. They don't know what their options are. They don't know how to release that equity. They don't know how to retire, quite honestly. And just in terms of the whole reverse conversation, that's a whole nother thing. So I am excited that we're at the point that in 2008, Gary Keller wrote a book called The Shift. There's an F in that word, just so everybody got that. The Shift. Yeah. Come on, you know it's right there, buddy. You probably got 3 copies of it. I think
I'm looking at my bookshelf. Yes, but
yeah, same thing here. I've got 100 books all around me. Anyway, The Shift is a great book to reread. In 2008, I bought it in August of 2008. I just mentioned this in another talk recently. I pulled it up on Amazon, and there it was. You bought it August 23rd, 2008. What he wrote about for realtors is as applicable for us right now as it was for realtors then, maybe even more so. This is a shift. And I just want to be the truth teller, Dave, that says, you guys, I care enough about you to speak truth to you. You cannot wait. No one is coming to get you. Do the hard work now.
So Bill, I want to play a little 1-minute clip from Nick Saban about, that decide. Have you seen this video, by the way?
I have not.
I think you're going to like it. Let's see what Nick Saban has to say about it's time to decide.
We have about 5 choices, in our life. We can be bad at what we do. We can be average at what we do. We can be good at what we do, or we can be excellent, or we can be elite. And everybody has a choice as to what they want to do and how they want to do that. But if you're going to be excellent or elite, you got to do special things. You have to have special intensity. You have to have special focus. You have to have a special commitment and drive and passion to do things at a high level and a high standard all the time. It doesn't matter what God-given ability that you have, that probably can make you good. But without the rest of it, I'm not sure you ever get excellent or elite. And that's the part that we're trying to get to. So,
boom.
So good, dude. So good. That's it.
So
Yeah, Deb, can we see the whole shirt, please?
Yes.
Got to outwork your talent. Got to
Yeah.
outwork your talent.
and guys, that is what time it is. Like in 2020 and 2021, you could do all, everyone won. If you were in the loan business, you broke records and you won. But we are in a market where you need to be elite. If you want to really gain market share, you need to be exceptional. And to his point, good. But here's the thing: there's been a sea shift in the industry, and quoting rates and doing loans is not enough going forward. The next 5 to 10 years are going to be amazing. Once we get to the bottom, there is a bottom that we need to get to, but when we get to that bottom, it's time for, I love that, reboot. I can't wait to, journal on this. I'm going to write a LinkedIn post. I'll be sure to give you credit on a couple different LinkedIn posts on this. It's been so good. Todd, where do you want to take this now? What questions do you have for Bill? What do you have any color you want to put around this?
Well, I'm going back to decide, right? You have a choice, right? You're hearing these pieces, and I think, if you're going to reboot, you've got to think about what are your most important priorities that you have to do. Obviously, I'm the win by noon guy. Bill wrote a great thing called the by noon effect, where he really talked about how getting your most important priorities done. I just re-listened to Essentialism. I re-listened to the 4-Hour Work Week. And I think that most of it is that we get stuck. So we talked about Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I know Ben from being in the Genius Network with him. And his first book that he wrote by himself is called Willpower Doesn't Work. And what I really thought about, because I was unplugged for 2 weeks, I didn't need to check my email 200 to 300 times a day like the average person does. And so I made a commitment when I've come back that I'm going to check my email twice a day. When I first did my win by noon activities, when I grew my business 45% a year, and I went from 80 million to 100 and almost 15 million in a year, 551 units, the number one priority I had was getting those most important things done by 11:30, ironically, but it doesn't sound as cool as win by noon. And I was really disciplined in what I did not do. And so what I would just encourage you to do is look at yourself, right? Because I unplugged, because willpower doesn't work, I actually was in an environment where I didn't need to do the other things. And then I made a huge choice when I've come back. And even just the last 4 days of being quote unquote plugged back in have been way less stressful, because I'm doing things on my terms. And what happens for most of us is we open our email first thing in the morning, and that is our to-do list. And then we realize we get to the end of the day, we don't get our most important priorities done. If you join the Win by Noon Mastermind group and you go to the file section, I've got my ideal week in there, kind of how I structured my week. Or if you just go into that group and type ideal week, you'll see some other stuff and videos I've done on that. But I would just encourage you, if you're going to decide one thing, it's to figure out what are your most important priorities and design your week around it. And then I've got a tool that's free, which is a great place for you to start, which would be that ideal week. And so that would be kind of my suggestion for everyone, and just really my personal reality. I realized that I fell into bad habits earlier this year. I wasn't as disciplined around my day, because I don't do the things that you all do on a day-to-day basis. But guess what? I'm pretty freaking busy. And it's amazing. I'm actually getting a whole lot more done this week because I'm really intentional around my time.
So,
So good, dude.
so Bill, I do have a question to make this actionable for folks, but I want to make sure everything kind of you prepared to come in around this topic has been shared. I don't want to leave any prepared Bill Hart concepts, strategies, or slides left undiscussed. Have you kind of brought it all, or do you got more?
Oh, I'm empty, man. I got nothing.
Well,
I'm
no,
all
I know
worked
you're
up.
not empty, but I just
Bill
want to make
always
sure
has
you
more.
didn't, and
No,
remember,
you're very
Sharon-
kind. I know where you're
Sure.
coming from. There's nothing else prepared that I had. There's nothing else prepared that I had. The only thing I want to say, just very quickly, if I may, right after Todd, is that Todd, I tell people every single day, I tell them, I try and make it as emphatic as I can. Like if you were my niece or nephew and you got into the mortgage industry and you said, what one thing do I need to do more than anything else? This is it. Like this is it. You must start by structuring your day, and you should look at noon as your tipping point, in my opinion. Like if you know that you need to generate 1 lead a day or 1.5 or 2 leads a day, and you haven't generated the lead at 12:01, I don't care what else is on your calendar the rest of the day. I mean, unless it's a mammogram or a colonoscopy, hopefully not both. You say, you know what? All bets are off. I'm calling my database. I need to be talking to people. That will change. The leading indicators that matter will change your lagging indicators later. People worry about volume, Dave. People worry about units and volume, and that's all going to take care of itself if you just commit to the daily activities. So anyway, not to be like overly bombastically simplistic, but I'm going to be overly bombastically simplistic. That's what it comes down to. The second thing I always tell people, always, Dave, and I'm not doing this just because I'm on with you. People that know me know that. Type it into the chat. You people that are following, you know that. It's like run towards Mortgage Coach. Just change the way you show up, change the way that you engage, change the level of professionalism. You must have Mortgage Coach. So there you go.
Can I add to that, Bill, that is the difference between the Disney BB gun shooter versus the tactical hunter
Exactly.
who's trained and professional and has the endurance. If you could do certain activities, but when you mix it in with leveraging Mortgage Coach, and as you guys know, that's largely how Denise built her brand, is using the TCA strategies and showing we don't just quote rate, payment, total out of pocket expense, but we show how your decisions today impact you over time, because everybody's time is a little bit different. So it kind of goes back to that speed to need. Are you hearing your customers? And then are you showing up as that tactical hunter, or are you playing with BB guns at Disney?
So,
There it is.
I mean, I would love to say Mortgage Coach is number 2, but I'm gonna make it number 3, and then let's talk this out. So I like the win by noon as being number 1, because at the end of the day, if you can't start your day right, and I do believe I know a lot more people winning by noon than winning by 3, or 4 or 2 or 1.
That whole win by 3 thing never really took off.
But like literally win by noon. And then a book I'm reading right now. Well, I've read the book.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Guys, if you're not getting your prospecting in by noon, there's no mortgage coaches to you don't get to do TCAs. You don't get to have quality conversations with borrowers if you're not calling enough realtors. So you got to have like the gun's no good if there's no ammo. And so you got prospecting and is key, and that is the reason why and number 3 is being an advisor. I mean, that's why I'm doing this 10x challenge right now, and because I really believe that if with a win by noon mentality, you could get 1 extra loan this month, next month. And by the way, there are things you could do that will help you get 1 extra loan every month. There are things you could do to get 1 extra realtor. And then I know, because I know the metrics of Mortgage Coach loan officers versus non-Mortgage Coach loan officers, they have less price exceptions, they have higher conversion rate, and that's why I'm doing this, 10X. I kicked it off with Jeremy Forcier. By the way, click, watch it. You didn't miss it. Even if you missed it, you still have it. This is actually supposed to turn green. Hopefully any minute, any day, we will get that updated. I still have 2 more to go. And then guys, we are here at Mortgage Coach. We're trying to train you. Like we got a playlist just on how to do this, how to be an advisor. I'm updating this. I'm getting ready to do the 3rd round of updating this, but we got a playbook. I love sports, so everything is a playbook to me. But there's a sales training playbook for you. And if you don't know how to use Mortgage Coach yet, all on the same page. We got a 24-hour-a-day assistant, and then all on the same page. If you're new, like, oh, I don't know how to give advice. I don't know. Well, by the way, every loan officer who doesn't use Mortgage Coach thinks they know how to give advice. And trust me, the way you're helping a renter versus a mortgage coach is different. The way you're helping a household hostage, if you're a loan officer, is different. And so we're putting focus on this. So can we all agree, number 1, number 2, number 3, any debate with the order of priorities to thrive in this market? What's number 4? Let's come on, let's do like 4 or 5. And that was where I was going to go. Let's get tactical, because reboot, first priority, second priority, third priority. What else do people need to do?
So I will add one that I actually did have on my slide deck, but it's silly looking bullet. I'll just talk about it. One of the things I've learned from Wally and from he's been out of the business for a while now, David Jaffe.
Oh my God, Jaffe.
Your database, which Wally calls a data bank, it changes the game. And I know Denise is doing this as well, Deborah. And I want to encourage you guys to think larger. There's a song we used to sing in church that was deep and wide, right? So you go deep with the few and wide with the many. And I just believe with all my heart, like if you've got 8 realtors right now that are rock stars and they're sending you leads, that's fantastic. But you need to be marketing to 100 or 500. And your database, if it's just past borrowers and realtors, the average, my experience, Dave, when I ask an audience of 100 LOs, like how many people are in your database, the average number I hear is 300 to 500. And I want you to start thinking about 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Wally's got 28,000 people in his database. David Jaffe at the time, I think he had 12,000, if I recall correctly, and he actively marketed to 2,500. The math has to change. I don't care how good you are. If you're not having enough conversations and the math just isn't there with life changes, it's not going to work for you. Then when the market shifts, oh my goodness, now you're in a position to scale it and build a life like nobody else can. So in my opinion, like number 4 would be, and we could argue the numbers of this stuff, you have to be committed to building your database every single day. And like Tony Robbins used to tell us massive action. I don't mean like add 1 person every day. I mean like add 10 people today, add 25 people tomorrow, not buying leads. People that you're like I know Denise, I just keep calling her out because I talked to her about this after Vegas when I saw her in Las Vegas. She was talking about the fact that she's like, dude, I'm the lender to people in Florida and I live in Texas. And when I do events, I add all those people to my database. We have to start thinking about larger numbers, in my opinion. Soapbox. That's what I do.
Well, I could not agree more than that. I will take that as number 4. And, I want to share a couple of best practices before we run out of time, because, at Trustage and, that's our thing, can you see my slides, Bill?
Yeah, buddy. Absolutely. Love every bit of it. Please send me this.
Yeah. Everybody in mortgage, guys, you're like a fisherman. And this is number 4. And most realtors and loan officers, they only know what they observe when someone calls them or when someone's out at open house. And there's a lot of things going on beneath the water. And we don't know when people are watching HGTV. And Zillow knows when people are using Zillow more, but most people don't. You don't know when they're having conversations, but there's a lot of things that we know, and so if you have a database where you don't know what's happening, you're at a disadvantage. And by the way, if you have a database where like, oh, there's listing alerts, oh, someone's cheating on me and they ran a credit report with someone, guys, that's not a lot. You really need to know it all. You need to know when someone is thinking about moving up, when someone, oh, there's a renter in this household or not, or first-time home buyer. You really need to have that. And the thing, again, if you come to this 10X challenge, like our borrower intelligence platform, it's not only predicting who's doing a loan, it's creating a TCA. Like, it's a digital assistant. So I agree with number 4. Obviously, that's what we do. What's number 5? And by the way, it's obvious that that's number 4. What's number 5? Or is there a 5? Or
Deborah's got number 5, so let's let her take that one.
I was going to say I would take that to Deb because that's an obvious, and she might argue that's number 1. So go ahead, Deborah.
To me, it's social media and personal brand, because it's, when you leverage it correctly, it's an extension to your CRM, while it also invites for new connections to feed your CRM. So it's important to have social proof in the world that we're in today. And a lot of times people don't even know how many at-bats they're losing when the moment that consumer goes to your feed and when they go to scroll for a couple feet, and if you have nothing there, you're leaving that narrative to them where they could say, oh, well, I guess Todd got out of the business, or maybe he's not doing this. I know rates have gone up. And so you've got to be able to control that narrative and find ways to grow your reach outside of just maybe your backyard, to your point, Bill, with going deep and wide. And so use social media. It's also accountability, because if you're studying financial truth and you care to share that truth, then it's a distribution platform of your education to pique the interest, or almost get the need exposed when some people don't even know that it's a need yet. So number 5, social media.
All right. So
Totally agree.
Just to hit home, you see this, guys? This is the Harvard Business Review. This is the May-June of this year episode. So the Harvard Business Review made it a topic that building your personal brand made. And again, they don't even publish every month. They publish this every 2 months. And by the way, you know what made it the month after this, the July, August edition? Any guesses? AI. Was
they probably didn't even write it.
Yeah. So yeah, they did. But like what Deborah just said is clearly, pick the order. And then I'm actually going to move everything back one. I've got a new number 1. So Todd, hopefully you won't be too upset.
I'm offended. I'm tremendously offended.
How quickly things change in this market.
Yeah,
man.
But to what Bill opened up, mindset. If, first of all, you can't win by noon if your negative voice is like you just can't win by noon if you got a bad attitude, if you're, don't have the right mindset. So like any objection to making mindset the number 1
no, man, it's got to start there.
And read the Gain and the Gap. This is a really good mindset book.
Agreed.
All right. So we came up with 6 things that people could do after they reboot. Coach, we're going to let Todd totally close this out, Mr. Win by Noon style, but we're running out of time. Anything you think needs to be said before we run out of time here?
I don't think so, man. I think we've done it. It's such an honor to hang out with you guys. I so appreciate it. I love the ideation that comes out of this, and it just gets my heart rate up, and I feel better after I spend time with you guys. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Every time I'm with you, brother, I not only feel like I'm really proud of that content. Like, this is the best sales meeting in the entire mortgage industry on Friday. They're like, who put on a better sales meeting than this? And then I always, more importantly, like, I journal on it. And I'm like, it was better than reading a book. Like, I got so much value out of this. So thank you, Bill. Coach Bill. Buddy. Todd, take us home, brother.
Well, should we let Deborah say her final words first? Hey, Deborah, tell me
you're
about
right.
our.
Deborah, you
let's
get to
give
go
a quick-
before Todd.
Let's give a quick exactly what to say pitch.
So if you guys are struggling with conversion, or maybe you need to sharpen your communication skills and become that tactical hunter, then check out exactly what to say. You can go to Todd, if you'll put the link in the chat, or go to toddbookspan.me. You can sign up. We have one in Arizona where you will have Todd and I live, guys, for 2 full days. So we'll be in Arizona at the end of September, and then we'll be in Dallas in October, right before the AmpCon event. So, come hang out with us, go deeper with your relationships, and learn exactly what to say. How's that, Todd?
Yeah, we're super
Very
excited.
good.
I feel like, you all have this opportunity to have deeper conversations, as Coach Bill said. And for me, that's been the funnest part. And, ironically, I used the magic words this morning with my daughter to get
her to be open-minded to something
pushed off before. And so it's just kind of fun to not just use the conversational tools that you and I have learned.
Buddy, we're reacting because your audio got totally jacked and you sounded like Mickey Mouse. You were talking to your daughter and said what? You were talking to your daughter and said what?
About something she's been totally closed off about. And I used the magic words from Phil Jones and was able to have her now go down the path that I was hoping I could get her to go down. And so the magic words have not just been beneficial to me in business, they actually are very beneficial in my personal life as well. So we've got a few spots at each location left. We're almost sold out, but we would love to have anyone who's looking to elevate to the next game. And we left the early bird pricing, and we'd like to sell it out at that. So good sales pitch. Thanks, Deborah. Here's how I would close it out. As always, I say you got to rewatch this, right? There's parts of the conversation today that have hit you and here differently and maybe harder than other parts, right? I go back to that kid underwater that Bill showed holding their breath. And then I go back to that free diver that just looked from the picture with that one fin like they were full of grace and calm. And I think you have an opportunity, right? We laid out now 6 different steps that we feel are important for you to be the loan officer and the person that you want to become. And you just got to make that decision. And I feel like if you watch this again and you figure out what is going to be your next thing that you need to do, Coach Bill gave the quote. You guys could see it because you could only see him, but I was mouthing the quote with him. I had to memorize that as my first action plan when I was a coaching client of Bill's 20 years ago. I would encourage you to think about that and think about just the discipline that you need to have to take it to the next level. I love nothing more than hearing success stories. I've got a client who is part of my operating system 2.0 group coaching, and she sent me a text yesterday that she went 3 months with no paycheck, with no loans, just closed her first loan in a few months yesterday and has a few more in the pipeline because she's put in the work. She's done those things. Bill talked about you've got to know your numbers. So if you don't know your numbers, again, that's one of the things that Win by Noon can do. But if you get to that part of the day, he called it the noon tipping point. Figure it out, right? Bill said add 10 people to your database today. Well, that's going to take a lot of phone calls. That's going to take a lot of conversations. It's going to take a lot of activity. And so just think about what is it you need to do, because the bottom line is if your phone's not ringing, your job is business development. You know what you need to do. You just need to choose to do it. And there was a lot there today to talk about. And so I'm just hoping you can figure out for you, what's that next step? What's that first domino you need to knock over?
All right. So here's my closing thoughts, everyone. All right. So here's my closing thoughts, everyone. If someone could put it on mute, Todd. We need, Todd's computer was having some challenges there, but here's my closing thoughts, everyone. Purpose matters more than ever. I mean, profits matter. You need to be as profitable as you can, but purpose is what's going to give you the juice. Yesterday was National Nonprofit Day, and Todd and I both posted about our new nonprofit. And Deborah Bird, thank you for being our first founder friend, First Home IQ, which is dedicated. The impact we want to make is impacting 5 million high school and college age kids a year by 2025 that are like being inspired and influenced into home ownership. And so, my closing thoughts are, whatever your purpose is, get a purpose that's bigger than the mortgage, because I think it's hard to have the mindset you need to make it through the bottom of the mortgage industry if there's not a purpose that's bigger than profits. You know, we can't go out of business. You know, you don't want to put your house in foreclosure, but you get a purpose. I mean, I fell in love with the mortgage industry even more after the meltdown, because I fell in love with, you know what, I'm going to be the guy that is, you know, mortgage coach that changes how people get into debt. So anyways, check out First Home IQ. If you do make donation this year, or excuse me, this week, consider becoming a founder friend. At least get on the mailing list. Hope everybody that watches this video, go to First Home IQ, get on the mailing list, but get a purpose that's bigger than just making money in the mortgage business. Take care, everybody. Bill Hart, you the man. All right. Take care, everybody.